You the one taking so long.
But how about you? Just sit there and watch.
I told you. I don't touch electronics.
Thanks, bro.
Of course.
All right. Real Hawaii talk. And Real Hawaiian's home. In Kona. I thought we were going to the ranch, but I don't know. We're in the suburbs, apparently.
That's what happens when you're rich. Can own both.
Oh, he's lippy and he's rich. Introduce yourself for us because I know the world is just dying to figure out who you are.
My name's Kaika Smith. Grew up here in Big Island. Grew up in Ka'u originally, and then my parents moved us to Kona when I was my freshman year of high school because they were both working in Kona. So we moved to Kona and then went to Kona Waina. That's where I met my wife, Pakalana. She was valedictorian of the class and all that stuff. And
Oh, so you hooked up then?
no, she was valedictorian of the class and I was here.
Yeah.
But then I knew her because Kona Waina is only so big, but we never really knew each other. I was a punky kid that got into fights and stuff like that. And
No.
yeah, just a little bit. Now I'm reformed.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, her grandfather was the principal of the school and stuff like that. So she's pretty well behaved and
Steer clear of that guy.
yeah, yeah, that's what it was. Trust me.
And then so the more you told me stay away, the more
Attraction. Yeah, I mean, I'm a stud, so what can you expect?
You know, I'm not used to having this much ego in the room next to me. Like my ego is suffocating right now.
Sounds like a personal problem.
It will be yours after I edit this.
Big head, Bill. Big head.
Yeah.
That's why my wife married me.
You're gonna see how we zoom in on that forehead of yours?
Why are you making fun of my hairline? Fucking prick.
Because you gotta get creative. You gotta go zigzag. Dude, the one thing I noticed is your beard is always just like taking all kind of different shapes.
Yeah, it just depends. Like if I'm bored or hot, like when I first got out of the military, I can grow a big beard.
Yeah.
When I first got out, I had like a monster beard, and then I started rolling jujitsu and stuff, and it just wasn't feasible.
Got in the way,
Guys
yeah.
was like kneeing on it or gis just wrapping around it, so trimmed it. But my hair grows super quick, so I don't even know why I shaved that to that must. Oh, I was trimming it. I was trimming my beard and I accidentally like buzzed it a little bit.
Too far?
Yeah, and so I just cut everything off and did the vaquero mustache. And then went to work and one of my friends, or you know Eli.
Yeah.
Eli's like, right, you gotta get the kalakaua.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I grew out the kalakaua, did 4th of July rodeo like that, and then after that just everything just grew back in.
Okay, so I skipped forward a little bit because I just couldn't help. There's like certain stuff I want to ask.
Yeah.
Just because we know each other from social media, we met in person once.
Yeah.
To exchange. For me to pick up some of your
Dollar
hats.
bills.
Yeah. One of the better transactions I had in Walmart parking lot in my life.
Meeting on out of hooker also.
We live. Yes, dude. What point did you go to the military mainland? Like, take us down that path.
So I graduated in 2009. I'm 31 now. Next month I turn 32, but I graduated in 2009 and about maybe 4 months before graduation, my uncle's in the Marine Corps and he's asking me like, what are you going to do with your life? Because I mean, my parents are like, what are you doing? You're doing construction and stuff like that. And my uncle was kind of a big influence on me. He was in the Marine Corps and he told my dad, like, what is this guy doing with his life? Like,
Yeah.
He's not going to college. I know that much.
Yeah.
And so my uncle was like, you need to go into the military. You need to learn discipline and all that stuff. So I go to a recruiter, me being young and dumb, ask him like, hey, what's the deadliest job you have? And he told me truck driver. Or let me back up. My family on my mom's side is white. My mom's from California originally. She moved here when she was a year old. But I did Ancestry DNA and I was able to track my mom's side of the family, and we've been in every American, or a male in my family has been in every American war
Wow.
since 1776. We were in America before the founding of America on my mom's side.
Okay.
My dad's side is the Hawaiian side. We come from Kiowa. Obviously, he lost the battle at Kamehameha. There's a lot of bullshit surrounding that, but also that side, warring family. And when I decided to join the military and do that stuff, I wanted to become an infantryman because my grandfather was an infantryman. My great grandfather was an infantryman on both sides, and so I go to recruiter. I want to be an infantryman. My mom, because I was 17 at the time, my mom said no. She had that traumatic experience from my grandfather being an infantryman in Vietnam and Korea and stuff like that. And before he went to special operations, and she didn't want that for me. So she wouldn't sign my paperwork. And so I go to the recruiter. I'm like, well, I can't be an infantryman. So what is the most deadliest job you have? A young, dumb kid, you know what I mean? And he told me truck driver, which I'm like, come on, dude.
You don't think it, but...
Yeah, but then, because I was young, you know what I mean? 17 during the Iraq War, Afghanistan War. I'm not really watching the news.
Yeah.
I just know there's a war going on and I want to be in it. And he's like, turn on the fucking news, kid. Like, how do you think all of these guys are dying? It's all IEDs, explosives. If you're a truck driver, you're going to be on the road.
And then, or you get picked off, right?
Yeah. So it's like, I'm like, okay, let me do that. So I signed on to become a truck driver, do that whole thing. And after my first deployment, I realized that was a big mistake. Because in my thought process, you go to war, you die, or you come back. I didn't think about the middle. And then I seen a guy get his leg blown off. And I'm like, oh, he's not fucking dead. You see what I'm saying? So it's like...
Suffering of being...
Yeah, well, he gets his leg blown off. Now he has to come back stateside. He doesn't have a leg. Yeah. We saved him and stuff like that. Now he has a prosthetic and stuff like that. But it's like, that thought process didn't cross my mind.
Yeah, it was all or nothing.
Yeah, so it was like, you go to war, you either live or you die. There's no in between. And I didn't think about, because again, I'm a young, dumb kid. I didn't think about the middle ground. So I transitioned out of that. I worked with special operations, did that whole thing. And then I ended up getting injured. They fused my lower back. I have a 4-level fusion in my back. They put pins and screws in my wrist. I blew up my wrist and detached and everything like that. And so they did that, fixed that. And looking back now, my mindset and who I've become, I don't really recognize the guy I was because I was so reckless. Yeah. And at that point, I had 2 kids. I had a loving wife, a caring wife. Like, I had stuff to live for.
But you didn't realize it yet.
Well, not even that I didn't realize it. I just didn't care. I was super, super reckless. And I don't know if it... And well, I do know now, traumatic brain injuries. I've had 30 concussions and 7 documented traumatic brain injuries. So... my endocrine system was all messed up, my hormones and stuff, my brain, all of that stuff. It at that point in my life, I wasn't thinking clearly. Yeah. And I know it sounds like a shit excuse. Even to me, it sounds like a shit excuse, like an scapegoat. Like,
no, it don't matter. It's like, it really does. Yeah. But you don't realize it if you're in it, like, you know?
Yeah. And it was like, when I got back, bought a street bike, just because I didn't feel alive, dude.
No, you need that rush.
Yeah, and it was like, it got to the point where I'm doing 160 miles an hour just to go to work, weaving in and out of cars, splitting cars, and not even thinking twice. Mm-hmm. Like, just get to work in 5 minutes. It's supposed to take me 25 minutes. And it was just like nothing. Like, pull into the gate, check in, boom. You know what I mean? Just no thought process of what's happening in my life. No thought process of a future or anything like that. I remember one time, me and my wife were watching the Pacquiao fight. Maybe it was Mayweather or something, but we were watching the fight. I got super drunk. My wife wasn't happy about it. Mm-hmm. Get into an argument. We get in the car, and at this time I had kind of sobered up because it was late already. She cut me off and I couldn't drink. So a couple hours later, we're still arguing. We get in the car, and I had a Dodge Charger. SRT8, super fast car. Yeah. I did supercharge and everything. And I'm doing 140 and I lose control.
With her in the car?
With her in the car, yeah. spin out of control, like almost hit a wall, and like she's like freaked out.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, turn around, back on the
Carry on.
Yeah, like now I look back and I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
Well, you were desensitized to all that high level stimulus because you were in a war zone. You were doing all these things. So there's a high that comes with that, or desensitized, right?
Detachment.
Yeah.
You have to be detached. And I think that's what I was, to be honest, was a detachment from reality.
So it's kind of like a survival skill while you're there, though.
Yeah,
But then
well,
when you come back.
And even I was like this. I mean, not crazy, but kind of detached,
Wild.
basically till I moved back. I mean, in Utah, I'm rock climbing, I'm doing mountaineering stuff, backpack hunting, all by myself.
But that sounds a little more stable, like
No.
survivalist.
Yeah, but you haven't seen the stuff that I've climbed. That's where the sketchy part is. It's like, yeah, it's not too bad, but it's like sheer rock faces with a pack on, my gun and everything, and I'm like, yeah, but there's a deer up there. Not like barely making it up.
Yeah.
And like, oh, how do I get back down? Launch the pack off the top, launch the deer off the top, because I can't climb back down with any of this stuff.
All of it, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like throw all my stuff off this cliff and then climb back down. And there was one time I went into this, whenever I go hunting, I always drop my wife pins, like the general area I'm going to be in, just in case. Didn't have service, so I went hunting. I left the house at like 2 a.m. I lose service going into the canyon. I get up there, I hike up in the dark, and I'm climbing with my headlamp. So I'm climbing. I didn't realize how sketchy it was that I was going up because I have my headlamp on.
So you only get vision, yeah.
So I get up to the top. I end up smoking a deer. I get it all quartered out and stuff. And unbeknownst to me, my wife's trying to figure out like what happened, if I'm good or what. And she's looking, because I taught her how to look at topo maps and stuff. And she's looking at the stuff where I dropped the pin. And she's like, man, those lines are really, really close together.
So it means it's more
It's steep. And so she can't get a hold of me or anything like that. My phone just says it's been disconnected. So this goes on, and I'm climbing. I make it back down. Like this time, same thing. Launch my pack off. Launch the deer off. I make it back down, and I'm hiking back to the truck, and I end up slipping and falling, and sliding like 100 yards into this basin because it was snowing. And my phone rings, and it's one of my buddies, and he's like, "Dude, what the fuck?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Where the fuck are you?" I said, "I'm in Uinta Basin. Like, what's up?" And he's like, "Dude, your wife's been trying to get a hold of you. She's been calling everybody to see if anybody knew where you were.
Wow.
She thinks you're dead."
And you only had reception in the basin.
Where just so happened where I fell is the only place that I slid down to a spot that had reception, magically. And just at that point, my friend was calling me.
That was a tractor beam. Like that thing just pulled you in.
Like I got super lucky with that. And then, so I start calling my wife, and her phone's going straight to voicemail. I'm like,
So she's calling out.
no. So I'm calling, and I'm like, you know what? I call the house phone, and my son answers. I'm like, "Hey, where's mom?" He's like, "She went to look for you."
There. That's why
and
she
I'm
don't have
like,
reception.
"What do you mean she went to look for me?" He's like, "I don't know. She just got a bunch of sleeping bags, some clothes, and the medical supplies, and grabbed a gun and a knife and left." And I'm like, "Fuck." So I like.
Wait, can you repeat that last? She did what?
Yeah, dude. Grabs a gun, a knife, medical kit because she's a nurse, medical kit, sleeping bag because it's cold.
She's a freaking animal.
So she's coming up. So I load up my pack, or I get my pack on after the fall and stuff, and I just take off. And my pack's around 110 pounds. I mean, I powerlift, so I know what 110 pounds is. So my pack's 110 pounds. I have 2.5 miles to get to the truck, but I made it down to the trail. When I slid down towards the trail.
Oh,
so I just like get on I got my gun in the middle of me. I strapped my pack down on my waist, but didn't strap my shoulder strap so I could kind of like sit on it. And then I butt slid another 400 yards to where the trail was. So I get my pack on and I'm just like pumping out of this place. I get out. I just throw my stuff in the truck and I'm driving out of the basin to get service. So I get on the road, I'm flying it out of the canyon, and I see my wife's SUV at the bottom of the canyon. So I pull up, And she gets out and she's like, boots, jacket, pants, like
She's ready.
ready to go. And I walk up, I'm like, what's going on? She just looks at me and starts fucking bawling.
Oh.
And she's like, I thought I lost you. I was coming in here. I asked the park rangers like what they knew about it. Like they were saying you had to be missing for 24 hours. I told them to fuck off because you'll be dead in 24 hours. Like what the fuck happened? So I'm like, now I'm kind of realizing the repercussions to my actions. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, no, I'm fine. She's like, yeah, but I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so I open her car door. I always open my wife's car door. I open her car door, and sure enough, there's a gun on the seat, knife on the seat, her packs loaded with shit, food, water, all of this stuff. And I'm like,
that's a full Red Dawn.
Yeah. So I'm like, what are you doing? She was like, I was going to come get you since they wouldn't. And I was like, what the fuck? But that's the type of person my wife is.
Yeah.
So after that, I kind of started thinking about what the fuck I'm doing and putting myself in these precarious situations and not caring, because for me, my life, this is going to sound super dumb, but my life is worthless. People live, people die every single day. Mm-hmm. My family's life isn't worthless. So I have to stay on this earth because they love me. And if I leave this earth, that causes them pain and causes them suffering. So in my mind, yeah, my life is worthless. Like I always say, or there's a quote that's always said, there was a guy that was caught by the British during the Revolutionary War, Nathaniel Hill, and he said, my only regret is I have but one life to give to my country. So that's kind of like how I've lived my life. My buddy Jeremiah Blackbeard on Instagram, he kind of lives by the same principles, but he's Native American, and he always says today's a good day to die. Like that's just the mantras we live by, because that's just who we are.
A warrior life.
Yeah, and you just don't worry about death. Death will come for you eventually. Yeah. It could be now, it could be 100 years from now. It's going to come for us all.
Yeah.
But I realized it's not about me, and me thinking that and me living that life is very selfish, because I'm not thinking about my wife, my kids, my parents, and all these other people that love me and surround them.
And also depend on you.
Yeah, and also depend on me. And that's why I always joke around with my wife, because I have life insurance and stuff. And I'm like, I'm worth way more dead, trust me. And you can find somebody else to sleep with. And she's like,
it's not the sleeping part. I like your wise ass.
Yeah. And that's why. So it's like now I think about the dumb shit I've done in my life, and I say dumb shit now looking back in retrospect, but it formed who I am today. And also I think being able to not recognize who I was makes me feel like I'm changing for the better, because I'm thinking, who the fuck was that guy? What the fuck was he thinking? Why was he like that? And that's why I was a very, very violent person, like extremely violent. And now people see Kaika, oh, Mr. Fingerbang Friday, makes people laugh, joke around. But that violent person is still in there. So for me, I always try to like joke around. I mean, I'll go in on people when they say dumb shit, but I always try to make people laugh. Yeah. Because I know, and that's another reason I don't post my kids on my social media, because if somebody says something about my children,
yeah, that's a different
I will help them suicide themselves. And I have no problem with that. And that's why I don't post them, is because to me, that's social media and Instagram and stuff like that. I use it to educate people. I use it to make people laugh. But when you start talking about my family, then we're going to get serious. Yeah. And I'm not somebody you want to get serious with.
You know yourself.
Yeah. And it's like, people are like, oh yeah, I'd beat your ass. Yeah, that's fine. I would cut your fucking head off and spit down your throat and not blink twice about it. I'll happily go to prison.
You said you were going to swear, but...
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I can be that person. I can be extremely violent, but I choose not to be. I choose to be more passionate and and see the good in people now. Because I know when I was in a dark place mentally and stuff like that, I didn't have anybody personally like that I could see that would make me happy and laugh and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So like me, people see me on social media and stuff like that, but they like when you met me, I'm the same type of guy. I'll joke around with you, I'll bullshit around with you, and I think that was a separation for me. It's like, yeah, I can go watch Joe Rogan and laugh my ass off. He's hilarious. Dave Chappelle, but I don't know these people. I could never meet these people.
Yeah.
But I run into people that know me from Instagram on a daily basis.
But it's the Instagram you that they know. It's not you.
Well, I think that's one thing I pride myself on with Instagram is
It's you.
it's me.
Yeah, authenticity.
Yeah,
And I think that's why I kind of connect with. I'm like, I am 100% trying to be unapologetically authentic now. You know, and
it's not normal.
no, it is not. But it's refreshing. It's liberating. It is just. It's who we should be.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's the thing I always tell people, like, if you don't like me for the stuff that I say or what I do on Instagram, then you're definitely not going to like me in person.
Yeah.
And my wife always tells me that, like, because people ask her, like, Huck, like my family and stuff like that, like, man, Kaika doesn't have any friends. Like, I shouldn't say I don't have any friends. Kaika doesn't have a lot of friends. And it's because of the way I talk. So, like, I went to my brother-in-law's and my sister's house the other day to get my hair cut. And one of his friends was there. He's also a barber, so he's cutting me up. And I'm just poking fun at the guy, like, being normal.
Yeah.
And that's normal to me. But the guy's from Hawaiian and stuff like that. And, like, I made a comment because he was like, oh, yeah, I'm from Hawaiian. I was like, oh, so you suck dick. like just not even knowing the guy,
but
just meeting him, but just like that's who I am. Like I'm just gonna joke around with you, like, oh, you're from Hawaiian, you must suck dick. Like, and I got friends from Hawaiian. Obviously, they're not gay, but it's something I like to do to poke fun at people. And my brother-in-law stepped in. He's like, bro, if he's making fun of you, that means he likes you. Yeah, like that's just don't mind him.
Why did your brother-in-law see the look on his face?
He was just the guy was kind of caught off guard. Like, what the fuck? I just met this dude, and like But my brother-in-law is like, don't worry. If he's making fun of you, he's joking around. I mean, he said, when he gets quiet,
that's when you worry.
That's when you're like, okay, what is he thinking? Because Kaika's usually joking around happy, but when he gets quiet, that's when he's like, he's probably going to do something irrational. So that's why.
Silence before the storm.
Yeah, but because he said that, it made me think like, man, I just am who I am. Yep. Like, and I can't change that. And I think that's why people connect with me and people also hate me is because I am who I am. And I'm unapologetically me. And a lot of people wish
they could do that.
They could be unapologetically them.
Yes.
They could say how they actually feel. And people are like, well, you know, my friends are going to say this. Well, if your friends are going to say that about you because you're bringing your true self to light, then you're a fake fucking friend for one. And you shouldn't be friends with those people because they don't love you for who you are.
100%.
So it's a lose-lose situation. You're faking yourself to have these friends, and they're being friends to somebody who's fake. So it's a reciprocating, like, just farce. Yeah, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like I have friends in Oahu, and I love them that they're like my brothers, but we're different. Here on Big Island, I think that's why we connected so easy. Like here on Big Island, we're a certain type of breed. And I think in Oahu, people have really short fuses. And I don't know if it's, I'm not from there, but I don't know if it's like the culture or whatever. Like here, if you talk about somebody from Kona, or you talk about somebody from Wendell, or you talk about somebody from Hilo, like I said, well, you're from Hilo, you must suck dick. You must wear a dress. Like guys in Hilo are just gonna laugh. You know what I mean? They'll play it off. Yeah. But guys from Waianae or Waimanalo, they're gonna take that serious. Oh, bro, you think I fucking suck dick, bro? Yeah. Fuck you said to me, like, relax, bro.
It is a big difference, and I don't know if it's become a culture.
Yeah.
But I do know that there is, like, you just try and add up all the little things like traffic, just this one little thing after another. You know what I mean? By the time you just starting your day, you already at 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think for some people it's like that. And then it's so much more expensive. It's crowded. It's like over here, we just got to the airport and I'm like,
Yeah.
And mind you, I got to the airport, the line for the car was outrageously long. So I stood there, I look at Avis, we're at budget, and the line is just wrapped. So I look at Avis, oh, I booked the Avis car, let's walk over there. So we go over there, and then there's a little line there, but we're in the AC. So I'm like, oh, the guy goes, if you're preferred, you can go downstairs and get your keys. Oh, look, I'm a preferred member now. Let's go downstairs. And then, you know, just like, you can be irritated about it and sit in it, or you can figure out how to fucking move on.
What would have been hilarious, though, is if you would have waited in that fucking line, get the budget, and they're like, we don't have a car for you. Yeah, no, right here.
Yeah.
Oh, sir, that says Avis. Fuck.
Well, I actually have 3 bookings right now.
Oh, okay.
Because they're all no cancellation
Yeah.
fees. So I've done that before. I'll even do that on plane rides
Whatever
too.
the
Like,
shortest.
yeah, and then like, oh, there's a plane open now. Okay, well, I'll just take this flight. I come back often enough. I'll just use that credit next week or whatever,
Yeah.
you know? So, I mean, life's too short. Like, you know, I think I appreciate that perspective from you because I had to work to become this, who I am now.
Yeah.
And more authentic, more unapologetic of people's feelings because me being me shouldn't offend you. And if it does, I'm sorry, I'm still being me.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the thing too, is I think people get aloha misconstrued.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people think aloha is not hurting people's feelings. But to me, aloha is not doing harm to someone.
And being fake. Because
Yeah.
you're not giving them the honest
True
answer.
aloha, yeah. And that's why I think, like, being aloha is if I offend you, you have the right to be offended. You also have the right to not talk to me.
Yeah.
Or
But
not
just
listen
know
to
that I gave you the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, like, I don't know if you want to get into politics now.
No, we'll save that for after.
Okay. But I mean, like, I think that's a big issue now. And I didn't really notice it until I came back to Hawaii because, I mean, when I was in the mainland, I got a lot of messages of support and stuff like that, but I also got a lot of hate. Oh, you don't even live here. So what the fuck you talking about? Oh, you in mainland Hawaiian? Because people didn't realize. They thought I was born and raised in the mainland to Hawaiian parents who are from Hawaii.
So you're...
Because I was in the mainland. And I'm like, you're from Oahu. You're not even from Hawaii. You're from New York City in a fucking island.
A lot of people don't know the difference though.
Yeah, but that's why I'm like, I'm from Ka'u and South Kona. There's a big difference where I come from and where you come from. We are not the same fucking people.
Yeah.
So how are you going to tell me I'm a plastic Hawaiian when you're walking around with a fucking Gucci bag as a man? You know what I mean? Like designer sunglasses
Yeah.
and getting your eyebrows plucked. Like, don't talk to me about being a fucking real Hawaiian when you're doing that kind of shit.
So you were Insta famous before you even came back home.
So I was famous my whole life.
Infamous.
It was just, to me,
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
In a crowd of one.
Yeah. I can tell.
But no, it really started with COVID. I've been through 5 Instagram pages because they kept getting deleted because I was spreading misinformation.
About COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turns out wasn't misinformation.
No.
So like my first page, I ended up getting like 26,000 followers, and that got the axe. And that's when I started getting it, is because when COVID happened, I originally started the first Hill Ranch page pre-COVID. Me and my wife were planning on moving back.
Mm-hmm.
We had the ranch, everything was good, and we decided that we had the funding to move back to Hawaii. So we're like, okay, we'll do this. And then I started the public page because I was into taxidermy, as you can tell.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why it was originally a Hugh Ranch taxidermy. Well, on my private page, I have a private page that I don't let anybody follow unless I know them personally, because that's where my kids are.
Mm-hmm.
And I posted a video on my private page because I always like that page was my main page. I made political stuff about it, but I posted it on there about when COVID kicked off, about the shutdowns. And I told people, like, you guys don't fucking understand where this goes and what's actually happening, because everybody at that point, or even today, everybody's so caught up in work, pay the bills, take the kids to practice, go to sleep, work, pay the bills. They don't have time to take off the blinders and go, what did they say on the news? Let me go ahead and research into that. Let me look into that. Let me see what's going on in the world. They don't have time for that. And that's what I was doing. Like, because my time difference, when I
You
was
were able to put it out at the end of the night where they're getting it.
yeah, I'm putting it out like 8 p.m. in Texas, and everybody's just getting off of work here. Yeah. So people started picking up my videos, Hungry Hawaiian, Broke the Clout, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Those guys. And what it was I was seeing what was happening in China. And I started telling people, like, because I posted a video about China. I said, look, they're locking down China. They're welding people into their homes. I'm not worried about COVID. I'm worried about what the government is going to fucking do. And that's exactly what, I mean, we didn't go as far as welding people into their homes, but pretty fucking close.
Pretty close, yeah.
And so I started calling all of this stuff out. And one of my buddies, Paper Target Killer on Instagram, but Mike Kipapa, he wanted to share my videos. He's like, bro, Kaika, I noticed your private page, but I don't want to share your videos. He's like, why don't you just post it to the Hill Ranch page? So I posted it there, started getting shares, and I ended up getting like 80,000 shares on that video. And that's where it kind of took off. And I realized people don't have time to do research. So they're just buying into what the government or what the media, same, is selling.
At the prime time of the day, during traffic, when they get off work. So right when you organically just started,
So I started calling stuff out before it even happened. Before the lockdowns happened, I said, look, they're locking people down in China. They're going to try that in America. A month later, boom, lockdowns. Beginning of the lockdowns, hey, they're telling us it's going to be 2 weeks. I can guarantee it's not going to be 2 weeks. And after the lockdown, then what? Then it's going to be forced vaccination. Then it's going to be just wear your mask. Then it's going to be you're not going to be able to work. Then it's going to be, and I'm posting all of this stuff. And one of the guys, Uncle Serge, when he ended up moving to Utah, and I met him, and he helped train me for my fights and stuff. And he told me, he's like, brah, you know why I started following you? He's like, I thought you were a fucking time traveler. And I started laughing. He's like, no, I'm not joking. I was literally convinced that you were a fucking time traveler because you would call stuff out a month before it happened. You literally put out a video, you say all this stuff, and then a month later, to the T, exactly what you were saying happened.
So let's talk about that. Is that like what you would think is like maybe a superpower for you, the insight and understanding of, and you brought up, hey, are we going to get to politics yet? Does that mean that potentially that one thing that you can see the multiple outcomes of, kind of like when you walk in and you start a movie, like, oh, okay, I know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've got that, like you just have that understanding of the way it works?
So for me, I'm probably autistic. With some ADHD.
Yeah.
I mean, I have 2 kids with autism. I never understood it. I just, like, my wife hates it in a good way, but she always jokes around about it because if I choose to do something, I'm good at it like that. So, like, I decided, you know what? I'm going to start doing jujitsu.
We might be related.
I'm way better looking. We're definitely not.
Yeah. You're better looking from the back.
Got some glutes on you, huh? But like, I'm like, hey, I want to try jujitsu. Never did jujitsu. 2 months later, I got my blue belt. And I won, or I shouldn't say 2 months later. 60 days of training, jujitsu. I won 5 gold medals in 2 different weight divisions. I won 3 medals in 2 different weight divisions on the same day. I weighed in at 220. Found out I only had 4 matches, and the next weight class was 221. So I told the promoter, I said, hey, can I just jump in the next weight class? And he's like, what? Like, The next guy above you is 280.
Yeah.
I'm saying, don't worry about me.
So it's 221 in open?
Yeah. And I ended up, one of the guys I tapped, I think he was like 350.
Oh.
And I ended up wiping that whole division, wiped my whole division. So it was like, and I did that super fast. Yeah, so I'm like, hey, you know what? I want to fight MMA. I get 4 first round knockouts within 8 months.
Okay, but I mean, that is already, now we're talking about the warrior in you,
Well,
which
so,
you've kind of had that.
Well, then I'm like, hey, we moved back to Hawaii. I never surfed. I always bodyboarded.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I want to surf. First day I paddle out, I'm standing up catching waves. And my cousin's like, what the because I'm asking him to teach me
So
how to
if you're
surf.
aware of your body.
Well, roping, same thing.
Yeah.
But now we go into politics.
Yeah.
It's the same concept. When I do something, like I said, maybe a little bit of that tism.
Yeah.
When I do something, my mind just starts. The problem is sometimes I can't shut it off.
Why do I see tism on a hat now?
Finger that tism.
Tickle the tism.
Tickle the tism.
You can use that one. We can share that one.
I give you a free hat. But like now I'm on melatonin and stuff to help me sleep. But that was a problem I was having was with politics. When I run for office, when I run for senator for District 3, my view of it is I'm not running, we are running. Because I'm just one person. I can't fix Hawaii.
So I'm assuming the world knows about this already, or is this going to be the first real?
This is the most I'm getting into it.
Okay.
But I can't fix Hawaii. People want me to run for governor. They want me to do all this stuff, run for mayor and all that stuff. One, I'll never be elected governor. I'm too brash. The older population rather be lied to nicely than told the truth harshly.
Well, they're on their way out. That's why already.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, and for me, I think it goes back. This is going to sound super racist. I don't give a fuck. Japanese, they come from Japan. Japan was a very communist country when Japanese started immigrating. They immigrated.
Still has a sense of that.
Plantation. What do? They work for somebody. You are a worker, basically a slave for the plantation. You shut your mouth. You do what you're told, or you're gone. So they're used to that. China, same thing. They come from a communist country. So those are the biggest voting blocks as Asians in Hawaii. But they come from communist backgrounds and tradition to where that tradition carries on, where it's you don't be vocal about how you feel outside. You vote a certain demographic. You vote for people that look like you. You do all of these things as an Asian. And I think that's why I'll never get elected governor, is because those people and other, like Hawaiians don't like me either. I'm not going to lie, because the problem with Hawaiians is Hawaiians want to be black. And you see it in Oahu. The Hawaiians today want to be victimized because there's fame in victimization. George Floyd. There's money in victimization. BLM. They want to be in a collective group. You look at Black Lives Matter. You look at blacks. Not all blacks, obviously, but they have that plantation mindset. Oh, this was slavery and this and that and the other. And it's like, yeah, dude, you have a shitty situation, but people have made it out.
Yep.
And if you spent more time, like, this is what was stupid about BLM. Black Lives Matter and Antifa would riot and burn down locally owned businesses because they hated the government. You're fucking moronic.
Yeah.
These people that own these businesses have nothing to do with killing George Floyd.
No. But it was just their misguided anger, I think. I think
that was a whole setup. I think it was a Fed operation.
I think that they were bankrolled by, they were,
Soros
for sure.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think like that type of mindset where it's like, why are you going to take your frustrations out on people who had nothing to do with what happened? If you want to protest, go to the fucking White House.
Yeah.
Go to the police station. Go to the IRS. Go to the NSA. Go to the CIA. Like, why are you burning down locally owned businesses when the government fucked
Your
up?
own people.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah.
And I feel like with Hawaiians, we're following this same fucking trend. And like I said, I see stuff in the future, or I put two together, and history always repeats itself. That's why I'm so good at predicting what's going to happen, is because I look at history. I'm a history buff. And when you look at the path Hawaiians are taking, when you step out of line as a Hawaiian, you're a fake Hawaiian, you're a plastic Hawaiian, you're an Hali Hawaiian, you're all of these things. But you know one thing I don't see, because there was hundreds of thousands of people that protested about TMT, right? How many of those people came down the mountain and went to the fucking Hawaiian Homeland hole? How many? This many.
What was the Hawaiian homes? Oh.
The fucking wait list of 40,000 Hawaiians.
Oh, for DHHO?
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So we're protesting Mauna Kea and saying, you can't build on here. This is Hawaiian homelands. This is sacred ground. This is this. This is that. The Rock shows up. Jason Momoa shows up. Ziggy Marley shows up. Like, all these people show up and party and Instagram and fucking... But when you go down to the nitty gritty, hey, while you guys are standing here protesting up there, DLNR is flying a helicopter right on the other side of this mountain and eradicating all ungulates, cattle, sheep, pigs, goats. They're shooting all of them right on the backside of the island, or right on the backside of the mountain, for eradication efforts. Because in 1973, there was a law passed in the courts where they said that they had to eradicate these ungulates for population control because of the endangered species of the palila bird. So the palila bird population has not expanded with the eradication, but because there's this law in place, DLNR is required to eradicate. They wouldn't before, now they do in certain places. Before, they wouldn't allow salvage because they said it was too dangerous. So no one could go salvage the meat after they killed everything. So all of these people are looking at Mauna Kea. Meanwhile, on the backside, animals are getting eradicated. Our food source for Hawaiians that can't afford to buy food because everything's so expensive. Our food source is getting eradicated while these people are protesting. Hawaiians are literally dying on the wait list to get onto Hawaiian Homelands, to have a house on Hawaiian Homelands. They're literally dying on that wait list while these people are protesting Mauna Kea.
But wasn't that happening before Mauna Kea protests?
It was. But why can't it be interchangeable? Why can't those same people protest TMT while simultaneously calling out the bullshit of Hawaiian Homelands? Why? I'll tell you why. Because they don't give a fuck about Hawaiians. What they give a fuck about is what is trendy. My grandparents grew up in a time where speaking Hawaiian would get you a switch across your fucking ass. They tried to eradicate that language. It wasn't cool to be a Hawaiian when my grandparents were Hawaiians. Now it's trendy to be a Hawaiian. Now it's cool to be a Hawaiian.
Oh, look at Disney.
Yeah. Look at the guy. Breathe in the mono. That fucking queer. Like, now it's cool to be those guys. You see what I'm saying? But where are these guys when Hawaiian Homelands is literally letting people die on a fucking wait list? My friend TJ from Rusty Boar, perfect example. He fights for the land. This dude fights his ass off for the land. And when I moved back, I was making videos because I was sick of what was happening on Hawaiian Homelands. I was sick of seeing Hawaiians dying on the wait list, Hawaiians being arrested on Hawaiian Homelands for trying to gather meat because it's government property. I was sick of seeing that shit. So I started making videos about it. And one day I talked to TJ and I asked him, can you take me on Mauna Kea? I want to go hunt. Because I've never been up there. I'm from Kau.
Yeah.
And so I asked him to take me up there. I hunted with him. We go up there, we hunt. I ended up shooting a cow, brought it home, butchered it up, fed my family for a month. Well, a week after me and him went hunting, my uncle, who's paralyzed from the waist down, he's helping house a lot of my relatives and a lot of their kids. And I went over there and saw him and talked to him and stuff. And I was like, hey, how come your freezer's empty? He's like, oh, I gotta go Costco. And I said, my auntie guys, like, they're not able to afford to buy food, so he buys food and stuff. And I'm like, don't go buy meat. I'll go hunt. So me and my wife went up the next weekend by ourselves, just me and her, and she shot a cow.
Well,
Skinned it all, we quartered it, we cut it all up, brought it down, and I went and filled up my uncle's freezer. And I said, hey, if you ever need another cow, if you need pork, if you need fish, let me know. Because in my family, my little brother was really good at baseball. I have two sisters that I grew up with. My two sisters, one of my sisters hunts and stuff like that, but my two sisters, they're into girly stuff. My little brother, my dad really wanted him to play baseball. He was
groomed.
Yeah, he was phenomenal at baseball, like crazy good. And my dad didn't teach him the stuff that he taught me because he's the baby, right?
Yeah.
So my brother didn't learn how to weld. He didn't learn how to wrench. He didn't learn how to hunt. He didn't learn how to throw net.
A different set of skills.
Yeah, he didn't learn all of these things. So when I come back, my dad's in his 60s now. My uncle's paralyzed. Who is supposed to help feed them? Me.
You're the head of the family.
Yeah. And my little brother, he wants to learn now because now he gets to go hunt with me, right? And actually, I take that back. I have my older brother and sister, they lived with their mom. So my older brother grew up in Kona. My older sister grew up in Kona. They never really did that stuff. It was more city type stuff here.
Yeah.
My brother's a phenomenal mechanic, but he just never did any of that hunting stuff. And he lives in Vegas now. But I come back, so now I'm having to teach my little brother how to hunt, how to fish, stuff like that, and kind of how to weld and kind of carry him through so that way this skill doesn't die.
Does change have to get to?
No, I have to. He's a pain in the ass. I love him, but he's a pain in my ass. But I get to, since we're being gay now,
Yep.
I get to do this stuff for my family. And to me, it's disgusting that more kids aren't doing that for their families or wanting to learn that. And there's a want that I see from social media. There's a kid that messaged me today. He saw me welding and he's like, hey, Unks, I want to get into welding. What machine should I buy? Do you have any techniques and stuff like that? And I told him, he's like, what machines do you run? And I told him and stuff, but I also told him, like, hey, welding's expensive to get into. A welding machine is not cheap. I'm lucky enough that I got a free welding machine. I mean, in the mainland, I had to buy my own, but here I got a free one. I had to fix it because it was broken, but it was free. And I have the mechanical ability to fix it. But I told him, hey, welding's super expensive. So the best machine out there, in my opinion, is the Lincoln Ranger. The machine runs phenomenal. They're expensive, like 10 grand expensive. So for a kid, it might not be feasible if he's just trying out or trying to learn.
Just getting in,
Yeah. So I'm like, dude, whatever you can afford, even if it's a junk old machine, if it welds, use it and practice with it. And I think that's a lost art from people. It's, oh, Uncle has a Lincoln Ranger. I want a Lincoln Ranger because I want to be like him. Like, no, dude, it took me 13 years to be able to buy this machine. My Mainland machine.
Yeah. No,
like,
I get
it.
You're striking home right now for me. My grandfather was like a master welder. He was in charge of Aloha, the building of that.
Yeah.
In Aiea Heights, their house is on a hill like this. Everybody's on wood. He built his house on I-beams. I mean, and it was just the one thing that I regret is not capturing some of that mana from him before he left. Because now I'm like, I want to weld my own bumpers. I want to fabricate stuff. I want to do this. That's what my mind wants to do therapeutically now.
Yeah.
Right? So, but yeah, I like that. Maybe there's something that you can help.
So let me just touch up on this Hawaiian subject real quick.
Okay.
So I think with Hawaiians, we're so busy doing this because we disagree on 10% of what is going on.
The 90 gets
thrown away. And it's like, why can't we just, like, for TNT, that was another big thing too for me where people started hating on me. I believe TMT should be built. The difference between my mindset and other people's mindset is TMT will provide jobs for construction workers. It'll provide a place, if we put it in the contract, where they have to take kids up there on field trips so our kids can see what is in space, because we are a voyaging people. We read stars as Hawaiians. Our kids need to be able to do that, especially with the latest and greatest technology. But also in the contract needs to be the removal of their Opala.
Yeah.
Because when I drive to the mountain and I look up and I see 10, 20 different telescopes all up there and only one works, it's like, who allowed this to happen?
The same people that want to put new people in.
Yeah, like
They didn't enforce the removal of.
I don't think they even put it in the contract. But
Some of them were in the contract, supposedly.
Yeah, see? But here's the thought process, right? If I'm driving down the road and I throw a soda can out the window, I'm getting a fine if an officer sees me because I'm littering. But if I put multi-million-dollar pieces of metal on the top of a mountain that everybody that comes to Hawaii can see, it's literally the highest peak in Hawaii. If I put a bunch of balls up there and then leave them when I'm done with it, perfectly fine. No fines, no nothing. And that to me is bullshit.
Yeah.
But we get caught up in this whole situation, and I hate when people, like during that protest, there's people coming from other islands talking about how Mauna Kea was sacred. How the fuck would you know what is sacred on Big Island when you grew up in fucking Ala Moana or Pearl City or downtown Honolulu? Don't fucking talk to me about what is sacred on our island. Don't come over here with your bullshit. Because you know what? Those jobs that are going to be created, they're not going to be created for you fuckers.
Yeah.
They're going to be created for my friends and my family that are able to work and feed their fucking kids. But those guys don't see that. They just see Ziggy Marley's up there. Let me go get an Instagram photo.
They don't see that in 97, when it was time for me to graduate, I moved back to Oahu because there were no jobs here.
Yep.
It was either go work at the hotel or KTA.
Yep.
That was it.
Especially in Waimea.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Because you're halfway from everywhere, and
And you're not
hotels.
cowboy, so you can't go to Parker. You can't go Pono Oro. No, I'm being serious.
Yeah, I don't.
In Waimea, that was like...
I was a city boy. You know what I mean? Like I came in as
that city in Waimea is not really city. You know what I mean? Like...
no, coming from Oahu to there, I was.
Oh, is that where you're originally from?
I'm from Oahu.
That's why I could smell the gay on you.
Yeah. You're the Ben to my gay. Yeah, it was just.
It was a shock.
Oh, but I loved it.
Yeah, no, and
Yeah.
everybody does. That's the difference, right? Like my friends from Oahu, they come down and they're like, oh,
This is the motherland for me. Waimea,
Yeah.
my aunties. So I didn't meet my dad till I was like 13, 14, somewhere around there. But before that, my nana told my auntie, go bring Brooksy home.
yeah,
My dad's name is Brooks, but I'm not a junior. So my auntie and my dad are like tight. The two younger of I don't know, 6 siblings. And so my auntie brought me, and I've always had that connection with her. So that when it came time for me to get old, when I was older, and I went to go live in Waimea, it was just like my auntie's there. I get to learn to what it's like to be Hawaiian,
Yeah.
more Hawaiian, because there was no Hawaiian culture in my Japanese
Yeah.
household growing up, and what it's like to slow things down and actually think about what you say.
and look at what you see. Like when you actually look at the land, like I said, when my friends from Oahu come here, they're like, man, this is Hawaii.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, I've been telling you guys that.
Don't tell everybody they're gonna come.
No, like these are good people.
Yeah.
But I mean, most people aren't. The people from Oahu have that city lifestyle.
They can't. Yeah.
They can't take it here.
Yeah.
It's too slow.
Yeah. That's see the cookie outside. That's noise pollution.
Yeah. Well, and it's even like here, right? Like I grew up in Kau. I love going out to Kau.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, babe, we should move out to Kau. She's like, there's nothing there. I'm like,
That's the point.
exactly.
Yeah.
But she grew up in Kona. And she's telling me Kau is like,
But Kona's a city. Like, it's
No,
where
that's
all
what
the
I'm saying, compared
industrial
to
is.
Kau.
Yeah.
it's like, this is the big city.
Yeah.
Kona compared to Oahu is like, this is a whole downtown that nobody's even heard of.
You guys got a Costco over here, which is like.
Yeah. The only Costco on the island, by the way.
Yeah.
Pretty big deal.
Yeah.
everybody knows that. That's why it's always fucking packed.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's the issues we have, and taking it back to Native Hawaiians again, like people say, I am not American. And you know what all of these people for the last 100 years have in common? Who say they're not American? They die as Americans because on their death certificate, it says United States of America, state of Hawaii. So obviously, you're wasting your life by complaining about how you're not American. What if we changed that and took that to Hawaiian Homes and said, hey, we are Hawaiians. Why are we not on Hawaiian homelands?
This is the perfect time for me to segue into financial literacy.
Go ahead.
So that is okay. So everything that you're talking about has its place, right? Everybody's perspective is valid. It's got its place, depending on where you're standing or what have you. I realize all those things, but I can't let that frustration take over me to the point where I can't function, because my gift to the world is the insight of solution. So it's been a really big campaign of mine. Well,
Do you think that insight comes from you being on Hawaiian? Because I have a little theory about that.
partially, yeah.
I have a feeling that Hawaiians have a little bit more insight, if you want to call it, or feeling
We have
into
connection.
certain things. Connection, yeah.
Yeah. I definitely, I don't know that I wouldn't have it if I wasn't, but I do know that I have this feeling down in my stomach that I am Hawaiian, and everybody's gonna know it, inside or out. I've gone through my phase of,
Tribal tattoos, yeah.
yeah, but it wasn't even just that. That was for me, rebelling against the norm. Being in a white collar industry,
Yeah.
it was like, I've been in real estate since 2004. You don't
Before
have,
tattoos were cool.
yeah, before it was socially acceptable.
Yeah.
You don't have visible tattoos because then that minimizes your demographic of clients that want to work with you.
Yeah.
And yeah, when I was younger, but that was one of the gifts that I got from my mom, learning how to be a realtor and sales and people. But it's also a natural thing of mine. And I think that because I spent my childhood alone, and I would sit and observe everybody. And so I just got to watch and recognize things. And then I just put all the data in my head, like, oh, that's why guys do that. That's why moms do this. That's why, just people in general. And just kind of like how you pick stuff up. I picked stuff up pretty quickly to the point where I wish I was more involved when I was a kid, because like, oh shit, I would have been a monster at some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like my dad wasn't there to help push me in that. So I have a lot of female influence in my life. But the females in my life learned how to make a living, and we didn't starve. My mom was a realtor, my grandma was a realtor, my grandfather, after he retired from welding, my grandmother made him come work at the real estate office. And so after school, that's what I did, is I went to the real estate office and I hung out. And that was just osmosis for me. I didn't realize I'd be a realtor. But fast forward, what makes me different than other people, right? The guy that wants to learn how to weld. What makes the difference is being exposed. Having somebody to call, to talk to ask questions, to bounce ideas off of, kind of like a mentor, right?
Yeah.
So that's why the big thing for me lately is sharing that knowledge of, one, how to manage your finances, or how to just want a little more for yourself. They ain't ever going to give us the land back. That's my thing.
Yeah.
I don't think so. You know what I mean? But what we can do is teach you some skills on how to buy it back. Like I would rather everybody circumvent DHHL.
Yeah.
Because that means they're still dependent on the lessor who controls it. They can't sell it and they can't build generational wealth.
Well, and that's the thing too. It's like,
They can sell it, but
Hawaiian Homelands has self-help communities, right?
Mhm.
And that was the thing that I thought about after meeting you, talking to you about financial literacy and stuff, was a self-help fund for local people, where everybody kind of pools their money
Mhm.
and everybody shares equally, where when you go to a place to buy a house, you buy, as a pool, you guys buy 10 acres. Because right now, like, you don't even, like, obviously, I know my neighbors, but most people don't.
Yeah.
And
That's the culture.
so you buy 10 acres as a pool, then you split up the acreage evenly between however many people it is. And then you guys all help to build your houses. And you don't even have to be friends. But you just put it into, like, you put the money into a trust so scumbags can't steal it. But you kind of work together, and I think when you have a certain amount of money where, hey, I'm able to put in 20 grand into this pool, you split that through 10 people or whatever, like, you have skin in the game. So you're not going to just, you know what, never mind.
Yeah, you can't back out either. Like, because other people are relying on you once you commit, you know what I mean? You think that's something, talking about running for senator and doing all, you think that's something that you may be able to instill too at some point?
So, let me just touch on why I'm running for Senate. Now, obviously I haven't formally announced, but I intend to run for Senate. District 3 here in Quanah, covers Volcano to Quanah. And I don't want to run for Senate. I don't want to be involved in politics. If our government was doing a good job, then I'd rather just be home with my family and fucking live like everybody else, but they're failing us. And again, I'll reiterate, I'm not the solution to Hawaii's problems. I'm a single person that is able to put myself into a position to hopefully instill values in others and make people think about running themselves in other districts. That's how we win Hawaii. That's how we change Hawaii. Is if I'm one person and I say we run because I can't get elected without other people voting me in. And what they're gonna get is what they see. I'm not changing who I am.
Yeah.
So I was having a conversation with my neighbor Jade, and we were talking about, because he lived in the mainland and stuff like that. He's from Hawaii, but he went to college in Colorado. And we were talking about this stuff, and he's like, yeah, but what difference can you make, really? You're like, Hawaii's so far gone. And I said, it's not about me making a difference, it's about us making a difference. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, people in Hawaii have this warped perception, which have been fed, that a politician is supposed to have a law degree, is supposed to be a doctor, is supposed to be white collar, it's supposed to be this. It's supposed to be everything but me.
Best interest at heart.
Yeah, it's supposed to be everything but me.
Yeah.
And yet this person is supposed to be our representative. How can they represent us if they don't know us?
They're not one of us.
Yeah, one of us. So when you look at, I'm not bashing this guy because I'm probably going to be running against him. I'm just simply stating facts when I say these things. Drew Kanula is our representative or our district senator for District 3. Drew is not married. This is all on his website, so you can go look at his website.
Sure.
And I'm not bashing him for his sexual preferences or his decisions or whatever.
Are you just stating facts?
Yes.
Okay.
So he's not married. He doesn't have kids. He went to school for political science when he graduated high school. Graduated from Kaika, went to Mainland for college and got his political science degree. Came back, ran for county council, won, then ran for senate. Now, why do I bring these things up? On his page, on his congressional page or whatever, he has a picture of him on the top of the page with his parents, a woman, and a child. So what is your first thought process when you see that?
He's a family man.
He's a family man. And it's not until you read the description that you realize that woman isn't even his wife, that's his sister. And that kid isn't even his, that's his sister's kid. But the perception, when you first look at it, oh, married, has kids, beautiful family, I will vote for this guy. That's a political scheme.
And he takes care of his parents.
Yeah, that's a political scheme that people use. But if you've never been in politics, I've sat down and drank whiskey with Ted Cruz when he was running for president. Dressed less than, I was dressed like you.
This is more where I'm from.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like most people are like, oh man, I'm meeting a presidential candidate. Like we're gonna drink together and da. Like I need to dress up. I went like that. I had this on with a t-shirt and a Hero Ranch hat. Oh no, it was a cactus hat. A picture with him, drinking with him, talking with him,
But you were
picking his brain.
Yeah.
But the difference is, I'm not lying to people, and I'm not saying he's intentionally lying. But I know what he's doing.
There's a game.
Yeah.
It's always been.
It's like, oh, family
strategy.
man. You're from Hawaii. He's got to be a family man. Look at his wife and his kid. Is like, oh no, that's his sister and his sister's kid.
But they took polls on how well he'd do, who he'd appeal to.
Yeah.
All this stuff.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
And when you're going to college to get a political science degree, obviously you're not coming back to work construction.
No.
So this is where I differ, right? So if you're not married, how do you know what it's like to have an argument with your wife about not being able to make bills that month? How do you know what it's like to have to work overtime to make sure your lights stay on?
Does he claim to know those things?
No, he doesn't. But I'm saying in general,
These are the things that we worry about.
We should worry about because we have families. We have spouses. So if you're going to portray yourself as a family man but don't have a family, that doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
So most of the people I know are married or have some significant other and they have kids.
Yeah.
I'm married. I have kids. I've been married to the same woman for the last 13 years.
They have families.
All of our kids are together. She didn't have kids before I met her. I didn't have kids. Like, we literally got married at 18 and 19 years old. Or, 18 and 19.
You guys aren't local then.
But we've been together. But trust me, we've been through trials, tribulations, stuff. But my whole thing is, so you don't know what it's like to work overtime on a construction job to make sure that you can keep your lights on or stuff like that. You don't know what it's like to have your wife go through postpartum depression or have your wife stress about bills or cycling that time of the month or you don't know any of those struggles as a representative for me. So how are you supposed to represent me? You don't know what it's like to tell your children, dad can't come to practice because dad has to work overtime to pay for your soccer cleats because Hawaii's so expensive. You don't know those things because you're not a father. You don't know what it's like to have to choose between, because here's the kicker, right? Aloha school. When we first moved back, I saw these people standing on the side of the road at the temple by Walmart, holding up signs that said "Save our school." And I'm like, what is this, like some kind of private school? Like, get the hell out of here. Well, then I find out, after doing a little bit of research, Aloha school has asbestos and mold in it, black mold, and has had it.
Knowingly for a while?
Yes. Like the first story I read about it was like in 2016.
And the kids were still...
They're still in school today.
And that's still...
Yes. So there's asbestos in the walls, under the carpets. There's mold, black mold in the AC vents, or not the AC vents, in the cooling and heating vents, the ducts. They have a rat infestation to where the rats chew through the cords. They have rat traps around the school to catch rats. Where is our representative on this issue? You don't hear him talking about it because why does he care? He doesn't have kids. His kids aren't going to that school. Who cares, right? But when moms are saying, my daughter is getting asthma, she never had asthma, now she has asthma. And the school said, this is what the school said. Well, we haven't received state funding yet, but next year in 2024, they're supposed to give us dehumidifiers and paint the outside of the school.
To seal it in.
What does that have to do with it? Josh Green, as you can see, I'm getting worked up because this really pisses me off. Josh Green wrote an emergency proclamation to tear down Uncle Billy's because there was asbestos. That just happened. But kids in Kona are in Aloha schools suffering from asbestos, black mold, rats, and no one cares.
Is it because somebody's trying to buy Uncle Billy's?
Yeah, but no, I know, but it shouldn't matter because this has been happening for so long. But this is again,
right.
Where is my representation? It's non-existent.
Yeah, it's not.
Konawaina, which is another school in his district, doesn't have school buses. Doesn't have school buses. I wanted to send my kids to Konawaina. They couldn't go to Konawaina because they have 2 school buses. Because they don't have any drivers, right? So, what did they tell us? They told me that my elementary school daughter could catch the Hawaiian bus. The Hawaiian bus doesn't run until 2 hours after school is done. So she has to sit on the side of the fucking road as a 9-year-old to catch the Hawaiian with adults. What could go wrong? So now we have a choice.
We either homeschool our kids, private school our kids, or let my daughter and my son ride on a Hawaiian with adults.
What do you guys do?
Homeschool.
Okay.
Because my wife works from home. So we had that option. She was a nurse. She stopped nursing after we had our third daughter, or our third kid, which is a girl, or no, he's a boy. Sorry, our third.
I would
After
make
our
a
third
special
kid.
clip of that.
Our third kid, after we had La'i.
Perfect timing, Tony.
So after we had La'i, my wife decided, like we talked about it, and I said, hey, you know what? You should stay home and raise our kids because I don't want them just being shipped off. So
I'm a fat boy in Kona.
Your shine is beautiful.
Yeah. That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
Don't get used to it.
Oh, I can replay that shit all day long.
So my wife decided to stay home and she just was kind of like, well, I'm not contributing. So she went to school online to get her billing and coding degree. And now she works from home. She works for a company out of Dubai. But so she's able to, I mean, she gets up at 2 o'clock in the morning, does her job. And then when she finishes at 10 o'clock in the morning, she homeschools her kids.
Wow.
So yeah, she's a savage. And she still finds time to work out and all that stuff like
And
that.
puts up with you, bro?
I'm an angel. Literally the best thing that's ever happened in her life. She had a really shitty life.
That's a low bar.
But Konawaina, like my thought process is what is going on to where we can't get bus drivers, right? And if we look at this, me and my wife go try to have a date night every week just to get away from the kids, spend some time together, talk about our weeks and stuff like that. And we went to Tashima's, had dinner, and I'm talking to the waitress, and I'm asking her these questions, right? Because I want to know what's going on in the community. She doesn't know yet that I'm running for Senate. I tell her later, but so I'm talking to her and I'm like, oh, how's school? And she's like, oh, this, that, and the other, and talking. And I said, so what's going on with that bus? She's like, oh my gosh, I'm late almost every day. Like I got to leave my house super early just to get to work on time. And then usually I get to work and I have to wait an hour before class starts or school opens because traffic and all that stuff because there's no buses. And it got me thinking. I said, how much do you spend on school supplies? And she told me and stuff. And I'm like, that comes out of your budget, right? Because she's waitressing as a teacher on a weeknight. And I'm trying to figure out why she's a waitress on a school night. You know
When she should be resting to take care of the cake the next day.
Like, why are you doing 2 jobs? And
That's Hawaii though.
it's not Hawaii.
That's the culture for local people though.
No,
to
I
have
know.
multiple jobs.
But
But
because they have to survive.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. So like when you look at school, right? Why are we still requiring, when we pay all this asinine amount of taxes when they're building a $10 billion rail in Oahu, like why are teachers still having to buy school supplies for their classrooms? Why are parents still having to supply school supplies for their kids to even go to school? This is bullshit.
I have not been heavy into politics. It's just, I'm sure if I studied it and I paid attention to it, then I'd be more aware of
Of the things going on.
the BS.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think part of that is because I'm somewhat of an empath that I know not to go there because it's going to consume me.
Yeah. And that's
And I won't be able to do the good that I'm trying to
that's
focus
why
on.
I split. But we all have our roles in life, right?
But that's why I like you, because
yeah.
you can speak that. Well, I can go, do
your
this.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why when I'm talking about this kind of stuff, I'm like, where's the representation? Hey, Senator Kanuha, if you had been in the construction industry, like me, I have my CDL, I've had it for a long time. In the mainland, they do these programs where a truck driver with no experience can go to a company, they'll pay for them to get their CDL, but they have to drive for that company for 1 year.
Right.
And these are one of my ideas, right? So my idea is a state-funded CDL program where we pay for people to get their CDL, but they have to drive for 1 year for the state as a school bus driver.
Why does it have to be state?
Because that's what the schools are, they're states. They're state schools.
Okay.
So we fund that program, right? So younger guys who are getting out of high school that need a CDL or whatever, they're trying to find a job, they want to get into truck driving, they can come work for the school, drive a school bus. When they are finished with their 1 year, what can they do? They can go to construction now and start making good money.
Oh, yeah.
Now we backlog drivers into construction because with my CDL, I'm getting all these companies asking me to go drive for them because I have my CDL because they're hurting for drivers. So one, we can backlog our construction industry and help build that up. Two, who else has time and would like to drive a school bus? I don't know if you had this when you was a kid. Older retirees. Why? It's a part-time gig, right? You drive 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon.
Low stress.
No stress. You just drive kids around. You make some extra money. You're off during the summer. So now you can use your retirement and this extra money you save to go vacation, go to Europe, go to Ireland, go to Australia, go to all these places to visit now that you have this extra source of income. It's a low stress, low impact job, and it gives you something to do. Now you're fulfilling, you're having more fulfillment because you get up every day, you get to see these beautiful kids, they come on the bus.
Are you talking about introducing them to that program too? So that
Yeah, everybody.
Okay.
Anybody can get into that program.
Okay.
You just have to, you go through the training system, and then for the retirees, their year is up, and they go, you know what, I really like this. I get to spend time with my wife during the summers. We go travel and stuff like that. This gives me extra income. If I want to, I can work during the summer for summer school. So they stay on as drivers. They make okay money, plus their retirement, and they're enjoying their life.
See, my head is starting to think like, well, how do we do this in the private sector?
It's already done.
So that you have a 501c3 that will pay for their courses. They pay back the 1 year of service, and then we get like it's privatized. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Drivers.
Well, so companies in the mainland do it, not 501c3s. These are actual for-profit companies. So like Swift does it. They'll get drivers, they'll teach them how to drive, you stay on for a year. I never thought about like nonprofits or anything like that. My thought process was, because as a senator, I'm thinking statewide for my district, how to help my district. Well, if parents are suffering, because now think about this, right? What time do dads usually start construction?
7
o'clock, right? What time does school start? 8:15.
Yeah.
How is the dad supposed to be at his construction job when he has to drive his kid off school at 8:15?
Mom.
Okay, well, you got to have two incomes to live in Hawaii. So now what? Now mom has to take a break from her job, go to take the kid to school, come back. So what does she do? She has to use vacation. How does that work?
Yeah.
And now you're putting stress on the business owner because you're like, well, I got to backload because this person has to take their kid to school. And now you're trying to move all these pieces around because you don't have school buses. It's simple shit like this, but that's the problem, is that these people want to make it so complicated. So we, the people, don't say, we can fix this. And now when people look at me, I get it, right? Like, I got tattoos. I'm super brash. I'm this, I'm that, whatever. I'm bearded, I'm beautiful. Like, people are going to hate me because I'm so good looking. You know what I mean?
I want to see how many messages you get saying you're beautiful.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, people are going to hate me for whatever reason, and they might not vote for me. But that's the issue, right? They can't comprehend. This guy's super brash, but fuck man, he has some good ideas. And this is my thought process, right? This is basically my campaign slogan. What's to lose? You vote for me, I go in, and I don't get nothing done. What do you lose? You lose 4 years of somebody not doing nothing. You already got that 8 years with Drew. You got 70 years of that with the freaking Democrat Party here.
Yeah.
So what is 4 years going to make a difference? Let me give it a go. What's to lose? You're not going to lose nothing. You see what I'm saying? Like, we're already in a shitty position. That's why I'm trying to run for office. I don't want to fucking do this.
When is this election?
2024.
Oh, so we're ramping up for that here soon.
Yeah. But it's like, I would much rather just spend time with my wife, work my regular job, go home, play with my kids, do all this stuff, than have to worry about politics.
It's called Kuleana.
Yeah, I would rather do all that stuff. But because of the climate that we're in, dude, I don't want, because this is the most fear I have right now. My generation is going to be the first generation in Hawaiian history, in Hawaii history, to ever not take care of the generation before them. Because nobody can afford to stay here, so they're all moving to the mainland when their parents are sick and dying of cancer. It's either going to be, let me uproot my entire life in the mainland to move back and hopefully find work or hopefully do this and hopefully I'll afford it. Or I'll go visit them, make my peace, and never see them again. That is fucking scary that people have to make those decisions. When you think about the older generation, they raised us. They taught us how to hunt, how to fish, how to gather, how to do all these things. How are we repaying them? We can't because we have to leave. I have so many friends that have left Hawaii and they're saying like, bro, honestly, I don't think I'm ever coming back because I can afford to live here.
Yeah.
I can take care of my kids here, and that disgusts me. And people go, well, how are you gonna make that difference? Because the difference with me is I have no filter. So when we talk about asbestos in Hulu'aloha schools, I get into Senate, they're talking about that day, the bill they brought forth, hey, we're gonna talk about, I don't know, green grass in Ala Moana. Mr. Senator Smith from District 3, it's your turn. Well, what are your feelings about this? I feel that the asbestos in Hulu'aloha schools is bullshit. That's how I feel. I feel that we should have bus drivers. Mr. Smith, we're not talking about Hulu'aloha. No. You're not talking about Hulu'aloha. I am.
Yeah.
This is my 3 minutes. Let me speak. I talk about Hulu'aloha schools for 3 minutes. Then the next day comes, that bill goes through, whatever. The next day comes, or the next session comes.
Different topic.
And they're like, so the Maui, blah, blah, blah. Mr. Smith, your turn. So these Hulu'aloha schools that I talked about last session that you guys still not, Mr. Smith, I already told you the last time.
But you're telling them your strategy now.
No, I don't care because to be honest, I would rather these people fix the fucking community than me have to do that fucking job.
Yeah.
I would rather not, I want a ranch. I want to live my fucking life. I don't want to deal with snake politicians. But if I don't, then who the fuck is going to do it? Because clearly they're not. And that's why for me, it's like, how do you make a difference? Well, I'll tell you how I make a difference. Because then when people see that in Oahu, they go, what is this Hulu'aloha school thing? What the fuck? These kids are in Hulu'aloha schools and asbestos and mold?
Can you bring this up on social media to kind of highlight?
Yeah, I'm going to.
Okay, cool.
But then they call their senator, their representative, hey, why is there nothing going on about Hulu'aloha schools on Big Island? These guys are from Oahu, from Molokai, Kauai. But they're calling their representative to go, hey, dude, what the fuck? That's Hawaii, too. Why are you guys talking about all this bullshit? There's kids suffering right now. You guys represent us as Hawaiians or local people in Hawaii. So now you got everybody pushing these senators or pushing these representatives, pushing them. And they're going to have to do right or they're going to get voted out.
Well, it's because they're going to want a senator like you now.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
We would want a senator like you.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, oh, well, another thing is too with social media, right? If I put forth a bill about asbestos and then say me and Diamond work together and Brent and all, and we put together a package, we take it forth, and then the committee goes, yeah, we're not taking this to the floor. Okay. What is your name? What is your name? What is your name? What is your name? Kaika's going to walk out of his office, immediately walk out of the Capitol, log on to Instagram, and go, hey, so this is the bill I put forward. And these are the motherfuckers standing in the way. Name them all by name. So if you guys could, if you're from this district, call them.
Yeah, reach out.
Because they're fucking all of us. Thank you, I appreciate it. And now all these local guys are going, man, why the fuck would they stand against stopping or cleaning out asbestos in the school? Who would do that? Why would they stop funding bus programs? Why would they do that? So they start asking questions, and it takes somebody like me to be able to, this is going to sound super asshole-ish, but dumb it down, because these politicians were able to somehow trick us into using big words and big language, and I can dumb it down to where if I can understand it, everybody else can understand it.
Yep. Same here.
So that's why I use those words. And people go, well, Kaika, you, like right now, I'm cussing a lot, right? or I make a lot of gay jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you know you must be homophobic, you must be this, or you cuss too much, you say cunt, and
You only
those
say it on
people-
Fridays.
well, to those people, I say, if the worst thing you hear in your life is Kaika, your state senator, saying cunt, then you're living a pretty fucking good life. You see what I'm saying? Like, you have the right to be offended, and I have the right to not.
But you got to get there first.
Yeah, but that's why I'm saying, like, for me, I'm not, because I've had people tell me already, like, hey, you know, when you get elected, you're gonna have to stop the finger bang Friday. Says who? Who the fuck says that? Oh, you know, you cannot cuss. I'm not cussing in the Senate. So what the fuck I can't? I represent the people. Look,
I think I make a pretty good stand-in, yeah? You see that one?
die.
That one.
But when you, like, this is what I say to people, right? If I walk on a construction site with a vest and a hard hat and a reflective shirt, you should think, hey, that's a new guy. You shouldn't know I'm a senator. If I put on a coverall and I go to a hotel with a mop, you should think that's the new guy, not a senator.
Because he's one of us.
Because I look like you, I
Yeah.
talk like you, I walk like you. Why? Because I represent you. I am one of you. Our government is built for the people, by the people, with we the people, consenting.
Supposedly.
So, yeah, but we've strayed away from that. And people talk about we need to hoolie the system. We don't need to hoolie the system. We just need to be smart enough to play in the white man's court.
Just participate.
Yeah, we're playing basketball over here while they're shooting free throws.
Yeah.
So why don't we take our ball over there? Or better yet, steal their ball and take it to our court.
This is our court.
Exactly. Make it our court. Bring them to us. Remind them that they represent us. They are who we trust to represent us. And they're not doing that. That's why I say, like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be a politician. I know politics.
You've already made up your mind, it sounds like.
I have to.
Yeah?
I absolutely have to. It's like in 2017, Hurricane Harvey hit Houston. I was living in Houston. The ranch was spared because it's high. We have a lot of lakes and levees. You know who wasn't spared? The people around me. I didn't have to leave my house, leave my wife, leave my kids in a lightning storm, in a hurricane, on my John boat, and go into communities and retrieve people off of their roofs. I didn't have to do that.
You did that. Nice.
But I did it because it needed to be done. I don't have to run for office. You think I wanted to go, hey, you know what? It's pouring down rain, it's freezing cold, there's a hurricane, I could drown, I could die, but you know what? I want to go save people. I didn't want to fucking leave my house.
It seems like you have an issue, not issue, but you've got this thing inside where you can't just idly stand by when you see injustice.
I can't. It disgusts me.
Yeah.
It disgusts me.
Do you have, you kind of got your team of support? You're going to need some help, right? Getting into office?
Yeah, she's in there. That's all the support I need. My wife, my kids, me. I've done it for 13 years in the mainland by myself. Both my parents live here in Hawaii. I have no family in the mainland, except that one uncle that put me in the Marine Corps.
I'm sure there's more.
No, I mean, people are going to support me.
Yeah.
But my main person, because it's hard to find people to trust.
Yeah.
I know I can trust my wife. She knows every single thing about me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing too. It's like, I think we've had this warped reality of when you look at congressional members on the federal level, oh, they have all these staffers and all this, and all they're doing is spending our tax money. They don't need that much fucking people, but they're allocated these much people, so they're going to spend that money.
Yeah.
And when you
Excuse me.
when you write bills that are 3,000 pages long and pass it in 24 hours, those staffers aren't doing shit. That's how they're getting all these bullshit laws passed.
Would you like to do segments leading up to different topics
Yeah,
or whatever you want to? So let's make this a thing.
Yeah, no, we can always talk about this. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on, though, is guns and marijuana. Because when I was talking to my buddy Jake, he didn't think about this.
Okay.
So when you get a medical marijuana card in Hawaii,
You can't have a gun.
own a firearm.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want you to think about this.
Excuse me.
kids are men my age are leaving to the mainland, leaving their older family members, their dads, their grandparents, the people that taught them to hunt and fish. Those people are getting cancer at an alarming rate. So now those people, that uncle or that dad, that grandfather, they go and get a medical marijuana card.
But they can't hunt now, you're saying?
Now they can't hunt. So basically the one thing they have left,
Ooh.
the one thing they have left to support themselves, because they can't just go to the store and buy food. They're on cancer medication. They're getting hospital bills. They have all this stuff. They can't afford food.
Is this a state or a federal?
State. It's all state.
Wow.
So
I just heard about this the other day,
Yeah.
which is oddly enough, you're bringing it up now,
Yeah.
but I see where the connection of that, like,
So now this guy that has cancer, let's say stage 4,
yeah,
he has cancer. He said, you know what? I like just spend my last days hunting.
yeah,
Like I got 30 days to live. I just like go spend them on Mauna Kea. I like go shoot sheep. I like go shoot beef for my family. I can't carry them all, but maybe I can get my nephews to come with me. And I just like be able to give a little bit more before I go. I know my funeral gonna have people, and I like be the one to provide that food. You drive him up down the side by side. He can't even walk anymore. You set up sticks for him, shoots out of the side by side, kills this animal.
Yeah.
You help take care of it. You take it off the mountain. Well, you just committed a fucking felony. Because he has a marijuana card.
by letting him
Yeah.
shoot?
He has a marijuana card. It's illegal for him to have a gun.
Wow.
But nobody, that's the thing, because when I was talking to Jake about it, he's like, dude, I didn't even think about that.
Is it have a gun or use a gun?
Both. Because in Hawaii, it's technically illegal for me to let you use a firearm. If I own one, I can't let you borrow it.
Oh, without, I thought it was under your supervision you could. Like you go to the firing. Everybody go to.
No, but that's what I'm saying though. Like, say you're the only one in the family that owns a gun. Your uncle has 30 days left to live, but you can't go the weekend that he has to go. So you tell your cousin like, hey, just take this gun, take uncle up. You guys go do your thing. I cannot. I gotta work. I absolutely have to work. I can't get off. Well, now you're a felon.
So many,
because you did
but
that.
so many things. That's why everybody smokes weed or marijuana. Like it was a community thing
Yeah.
here. I never saw weed or anything until I moved into the Big Island. Actually,
no, it is.
You know what I mean? But it's natural.
Because
It's like,
everybody's relaxed.
yeah,
Everybody's chill. Like, bro, just smoke a blunt. Like, what the fuck is the big deal? Like,
yeah,
when you go to Oahu, you have alcoholics who beat their wives.
yeah.
Over here on Big Island, we have that issue. We have meth just like everybody else. But a lot of the uncles, they go to the beach, they relax, they smoke weed. And that's okay. It's a part of the culture.
Yeah.
But when we start dividing people and going, you have a constitutional right to a firearm, but if you give that constitutional right up, you know, maybe you can have some marijuana to help you eat after you go to your cancer treatment, because it's so hard on your system that you continue to puke up food, and the only way for you to eat is by eating an edible of marijuana that helps settle the stomach, helps settle you neurologically, and gives you the munchies, so you're able to get that nutrients that you need.
Without feeling like you're forcing yourself too much.
So, give up your gun rights, like a good fucking serf, a good peasant does, and we'll give you a little bit of this natural medicine. Or you keep your guns and you register them with the government and you go to the police station and you jump through all these hoops just so you can feed your family, because fuck you, that's why.
Okay.
Vote for me, District 3.
Vote for him, District 3. We obviously got a lot more to talk about.
Oh yeah, I can do this all day.
Okay, so
My wife's probably pissed because she didn't order pizza for my kids and you're starving my kids right now. But it's okay, you're super important, right? You're a big deal.
I
That's what
mean-
I've heard.
yeah. Oh, he's asking Eli. Eli. No, let's have more conversations.
Yeah.
Well, let me just bring all my stuff back and just sit here and listen to you talk, actually. But I wouldn't have missed it for a world. I came up here especially to just kind of find out who you are.
Yeah. No, and I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I really do.
I think, I know you do. That's why this isn't a thing for me. Because I know at some point, this relates to financial literacy for me. I can make those connections.
Yeah.
But I also want to dig into your ranch. How did you make your living? Where you get your ranch up there? You making, you know what I mean? So we'll get into that in the next episode.
Well, not only that, like being able to bind the two to where we're both having people understand certain things, because I think that's super important. Because running for office, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to bring down the cost of living.
Yep.
I'm trying to help people. I'm trying to make sure that we as local people are okay. Hawaiian, Japanese, Chinese, doesn't fucking matter.
Exactly. Local
We
people.
as local people are okay. That's what I'm trying to do. What are you trying to do? You're trying to make sure people can feed their families because they're financially literate. You're making sure they can afford a home, making sure they afford gas, making sure they're able to go to work. So we're on the same page.
Yeah.
We're doing the same things. The only difference is we're taking the ball from that court and bringing it into our court, where you have financial literacy, where you have government, where you have farming, where you have ranching, fishing, community. We're doing all of that on this court, and let those fucking politicians stay over there where they're fucking with the trash that they belong in.
And amen to that, because that is 100% what it is. It's on us.
Yep.
It's on us to take care of us. So,
We the people, for the people, by the people.
yeah, 100%.
What do you got to lose? But I appreciate it, my brother.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
No, thanks for having me.
Humble abode.
I'm glad to see the Friday set. In fact, after this, we're gonna shoot his Friday episode.
Yeah,
And it's-
right. Not getting ahead of yourself, Bill.
Oh no, I'm gonna do a Mr. Wilson on that island over there while you. I'm just stoked to have this conversation with you. I could tell that from the beginning. It was like, hey, this guy's talking some shit, but it's
that shit.
it's intelligent. Yeah,
It's that
it's real
shit.
shit. It's real shit. So, and I'll be like, you know what? I talked to this guy before he was famous. Well, he's already famous.
I've always been famous.
Before he was in office and before everybody actually liked him. Because they don't like you right now, but you're famous.
They're not gonna like me when I'm in office either, because we're making changes. People hate change. It is what it is.
Not everybody. There's a lot of people that want change. I want change.
I think I got some pennies.
Yeah.
Maybe
I got
2 cents.
I'll break $1. That's how you ride the wiki with that.
Okay.
Oh man. Well, I'm stoked to have you on.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming down.
Yeah. Let's so we'll run a couple of episodes. We'll plan, stuff that you want to say. Let's think about it, and then we can put it out
I like
there.
off the cuff, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like off the cuff, because then I can say whatever the fuck I want.
Okay, I got you.
I kind of, that's the thing about me and my wife. That's one thing she says. Like, I writ something out when I went to Hawaiian Homelands meeting, and she's like,
No, I don't want it
Doesn't sound
rehearsed. I just like, okay, a topic.
no.
Whatever it is
I
that.
gotta let it just think in my tinker.
Okay, let's go then.
You can write down stuff for you, though.
Oh no.
I know you're kind of slow, so
Yeah.
maybe I can give you some autism, help you out. Who knows?
Dude, tickle your tism. that hashtag.
Hashtag yes, a Bill.
I was like, this fucker. My name's not Bill.
Okay, bro. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, we'll
These kids fed.
take care of Ohana. Thanks for letting us bombard your home.
Of course. Anytime. Not anytime. I gotta ask my wife, but
And we'll be white black.